Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible world that's all around us? I mean, really think about it? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on these powerful, unseen forces that are constantly pushing, pulling, and, well, shaping every single moment of our lives. Let's dive in.
Okay, so take a look at this. It's just a simple kick, right? We've all seen it 1,000 times. The foot hits the ball goes flying. Easy. But have you ever really considered the absolute symphony of physics that's happening in that one split second? Because what looks so simple is actually this incredible, complex interaction of invisible pushes and pulls. So what are these fundamental forces? The ones that run everything from a soccer game to the way the planets orbit the sun. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, the most basic question of all. What exactly is a force? You know, in the world of physics, a force is actually shockingly simple. It's just a push or a pull. That's it. Every single complex thing you can imagine, from a star exploding to you tapping on your phone screen, it all just boils down to one object pushing or pulling another. So what can these simple pushes and pulls actually do? Well, they've got three main moves. They can change an object's shape, right, like squishing a piece of dough. They can change its speed, either speeding it up or slowing it down, or they can change its direction, like when a tennis racket smacks a ball and sends it flying the other way. But here's the catch. Whenever you push or pull something, the world kind of pushes back. And that brings us to these forces of resistance, things like friction and drag, which are always working against motion. In fact, try this with me right now. Just rub your hands together pretty fast. Go on, you feel that? That heat you're feeling is the direct result of friction. It's a force that opposes motion. And you are literally feeling energy being turned into heat right in your own hands. And this really shows you the two-faced nature of friction. See, we absolutely need it. Without friction, you couldn't even walk across the room. Your feet would just slip out from under you. Car tires couldn't grip the road. But it also causes all sorts of problems, like wearing down engine parts and wasting tons of energy as heat. It's both a hero and a villain in this story. Now, that exact same resisting force gets a special name when we're talking about moving through a fluid, like air or water. We just call it drag, or you might have heard it called air resistance. And, you know, understanding drag is a huge deal if you want to be efficient. It's exactly why cars have these sleek, streamlined shapes. Engineers spend tons of time designing them to help the air flow right over the vehicle with as little resistance as possible. It saves a ton of fuel and energy. And this is a perfect example of how we manipulate friction on purpose. Over on the left, you've got a mountain bike tire. See those huge knobs? They're designed to create as much friction as possible for maximum grip on loose dirt. But on the right, a racing bike tire is totally smooth to minimize friction and go as fast as humanly possible. It's all about engineering friction for the job you need to do. Okay, so we've talked about forces that happen when things actually touch each other. But what about the biggest one of all? The one that reaches across the entire universe without touching anything? Let's talk about gravity. And while we're at it, let's finally clear up one of the most common mix-ups in all of science, the difference between mass and weight. Okay, lean in for this one, because this is so important. Mass is the amount of stuff you're made of. It's constant. It never, ever changes, no matter where you are. Weight, on the other hand, is a force. It's the measurement of gravity's pull times all that stuff. They are not the same thing at all. So, picture this. If you could hop in a spaceship and travel across the solar system, the amount of your mass, would be exactly the same. You wouldn't be made of less stuff just because you touched down on Mars. And this chart right here just makes it all click. Check this out. A person who has a mass of 70 kilograms weighs 700 newtons right here on Earth. But take that same person to Mars, where the gravity is way weaker, and suddenly their weight plummets to 280 newtons. Then go to massive Jupiter, and it skyrockets to 1750. It's the same person, same mass, but their weight is all over the place. All right, let's take all these ideas and dive into the water. We've all seen it. Some things sink like a rock, and other things just float without a care in the world. Well, the reason why has everything to do with another battle of forces. Take a look at this. 3 cans of soda. They're the same size, the same shape, they're sitting in the same water. Logically, you'd think they should all do the same thing. But they don't. And that is the big puzzle. How on earth is it possible that one of these cans just bobs along on the surface while the others sink right to the bottom? Well, the answer comes down to two key ideas. First up is density. Just think of it as how much stuff is crammed into a certain amount of space. Now, the can of Diet Coke that's floating, it uses artificial sweeteners, which are way less dense than all the real sugar that's packed into the regular Coke. So even though the cans are the same size, the regular one has more mass packed inside. It's just more dense. The second piece of our puzzle is buoyancy. This is simply the upward push that water exerts on anything you put in it. It's the water literally pushing up on the object. So here's where it all comes together. It's a battle of forces. Think of it like a tug of war. You've got weight, which is gravity, pulling the can down. And at the same time, you've got buoyancy, that force from the water pushing it up. An object will only float if that upward push of buoyancy is strong enough to win the battle against the downward pull of its own weight. And just like that, we've gone from a simple push to the resistance of friction, all the way to the cosmic pull of gravity, and even the underwater fight for buoyancy. What we're seeing is that our entire world is in this constant, delicate state of balance. So let's quickly recap what we've covered. It all starts with a simple push or a pull. Then you've got friction and drag always pushing back, opposing that motion. Hovering over all of it is gravity, the invisible glue holding everything together. And when you get in the water, it's that battle between density and buoyancy that decides if something will sink or swim. You know, everything, from the massive skyscraper downtown to a tiny sailboat on a lake, is part of this constant, delicate, beautiful dance of forces. In fact, you're in the middle of it right now. The chair you're sitting on is pushing up to support your weight. The air is pushing against you. So the real question is, now that you know what to look for, where do you see this dance happening all around you?